You ain't gonna believe this one. Yes, because I called bullshit on somebody's post about Lucy, I'm anti-Semitic. I didn't even know she was Jewish. Hello everybody and welcome again to The Simple Skeptic. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. Hit the like button or the unlike button, whatever your preference. This week we're going to take another look at what's happening in the world of creationism. Crazy stuff, as usual. We'll go into the Institute for Creation Research, answers in Genesis, of course, and they're not much better than that last thing you saw.
Did you know that we can find a single piece of hair at a crime scene and determine its origin? You know, God created unique patterns in hair and animal fur. And under the microscope, these patterns are visible. What's even more fascinating is that we can determine the origin by these patterns and see that it directly confirms what we read in Genesis chapter 1. In Genesis chapter 1, God says 10 times that He created animals according to their kind. And microscopically, that's exactly what we see. You know, science always confirms the Bible, and this is just another example of that. If you want more information on this, you can find it in my brand new textbook, Intro to Forensic Science from a Biblical Worldview.
What is the point in looking at forensics with a biblical worldview? Are you going to consult the Bible before you look for evidence, before you comb through the evidence, before you judge the evidence? I certainly hope not. I hope you're using the science that you hopefully learned in school in order to get a job as a forensics expert, or whatever you may work as. Look, I'm sure you're a very nice person, but please do not use the Bible for forensics. I don't see how there's any application, unless you plan on finding the perpetrator and then stoning them to death. And here's Answers in Genesis, again, with one of their little videos that they think is a gotcha. No.
What do the fossils show? They show evidence of sudden appearance, fully formed and complex, without any ancestors in the layers beneath them. These flatworms, there's no hint of any ancestors in the layers below them. They appear suddenly in the fossil record, fully formed, fully complex.
Notice how they called it, atheists will never tell you this about fossils. As if all atheists are experts on fossils. I guess it's better than calling us an evolutionist, which is a made-up term, but since they don't understand either word anyway, I fail to see how we should bother going into that. Okay, this atheist is going to tell you about what they were talking about. Fully formed. What do they expect to see? Half an animal? Do they expect to see a human fossil with one arm rather than two? That's exactly what they're trying to lead you into believing. They think that everything should be half made, quarter made, three-quarters made, whatever. Well, that's what they're trying to tell you anyway. They know better. They're liars. The flatworm they mentioned, well, it's a very old fossil, Precambrian, I believe. Precambrian fossils weren't known before 1956 or 57, I believe. The first one was found in some fossil beds in England. We're still finding more. We've found more Precambrian fossils since then. There are, in fact, huge swaths of them. And we are doing studies all the time. Science progresses. Science learns more. Fully formed, nothing below them. Maybe we haven't dug down any further. They don't dig down any further than page 1 of the Bible. Okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're also going to take a look at the Institute for Creation Research. This is a group composed of former scientists. They are no longer scientists because of the statement of faith that they are required to sign that requires that they stay within the bounds of biblical inerrancy, which negates them doing science. They are carrying on anyway, trying to convince the public that they are scientists and that they know what they're doing and the Bible is right and evolution is wrong. Sorry guys, I'm not falling for that, and I've only got a high school diploma.
Would you agree that natural selection is different from evolution?
Let's see, you want me to say yes or no, and I'm trying to think of a way to say neither.
There are many selection pressures in evolution. As far as we know, all of them are natural. So natural selection is, yes, evolution.
I would say that the modern synthesis, or the modern version of evolution, which is neo-Darwinism, modern synthesis, that version of evolution requires natural selection of mutants. So you have to have mutation and natural selection, time and death. Those are your tools that you have to work with.
By Jove, I think he's got it.
But there's a host of evolutionists who see that program, that paradigm is ineffectual to produce the kinds of changes that it needed to have produced in order to change a cell into a human.
Well, that didn't last long.
Okay, so over any amount of time. So mutations and natural selection can't do that job. So my evolutionary colleagues are coming up with all kinds of alternative versions of evolution that invoke all kinds of different ideas, not just mutation of the selection of mutations.
I could probably spend about half an hour critiquing this, but let's just cut to the chase with the buddy he brought along.
So actually, there's this entire segment of the evolutionary community that is rejecting this paradigm of natural selection because it doesn't do anything. It's kind of an empty paradigm. They call themselves the third way.
There we are, the third way. It's not something I'm really going to go into in detail because I am not a scientist. I'm just a keen amateur naturalist who is sick and tired of creationists. And if I got into the third way, I'd probably become sick and tired of them as well. I'm going to put a link down below to a friend of mine, Laurence Moran, who is Professor Emeritus of Biochemistry at the University of Toronto. He is a real scientist, and he is familiar with this third way business, and he's written a couple of articles on it in his blog, Sandwalk. So look below for those links. Check him out. He's got a lot of good writing on there. Avoid the third way if you can. You probably drive yourself crazy. Have a nice day, folks, and I'll hopefully get these videos out a little more regularly.